Based on engineering samples out of Asia, code that we've looked at, patents that we've looked at, we think the iPhone 5 will be the same width, so you'll be able to hold it in one hand, but it'll be taller. We also think it'll be 20 to 25% thinner, and the aspect ratio will be different. So when you're looking at it, you'll effectively have a 4-inch diagonal screen. It'll feel a lot bigger when you read it or read on it.
And yet it's even thinner. How is it possible that Apple can make the iPhone even thinner than it already is?
The key is a new display technology called in-cell technology, and frankly, we're shocked that they were able to commercialize this. We didn't think it was going to be ready for at least another couple of years. What it effectively does, it takes the touch assembly, all the little mechanical parts and pieces that sense or feel when you touch the screen by pressure, and change it to something called inductive touch, which is effectively your finger completes the circuit. So you discharge electrons from your body to the screen and vice versa. And that'll be more precise, and that allows them to remove one pane of glass and all those mechanical components, and that makes it thinner.
Interesting. Now, you say production has already started. What can you tell us? What evidence do you have of that? And what kind of volumes are you expecting?
So when we were in Asia last week, we had an opportunity to speak with suppliers, and while they don't mention Apple, obviously, what they do talk about is their own businesses, and they give you a sense of how their businesses are ramping, what kind of volumes they're expecting. And the key here is that the volume ramps are gradually building throughout July and really accelerating into August. And the only way to account for that is full production. So the timeline and the behavior of the suppliers is very similar and identical, in fact, to previous launches. And so that's how we're able to gauge that.
Do you think that the fact that the smartphone market is becoming more saturated, that will make this upcoming launch any less spectacular than previous ones?
No, in fact, I think the saturation of the market may actually be a huge benefit. We think 30 million people domestically will be able to upgrade to the iPhone 5. They'll be coming off contract in Q4, and that's this huge built-in upgradable install base, and that's going to cause a lot of demand. In fact, we think this could be the largest and quickest ramp in consumer electronics history for a product.
Now, another thing you say is that smartphone and PC demand in China is actually dropping off significantly. What exactly is going on there, and how could that impact Apple's bottom line?
Well, you know, we came back from China really depressed, I have to say. It appears the mainland China is correcting significantly. The statistics that the government publishes, frankly, we think are largely fabricated. So you have to rely on other statistics such as retail sales councils, electricity usage, etc., mall traffic. And what we saw and what we heard was pretty grim. You know, we think consumer electronics sales could be falling double digits year over year there in June and thus far in July. And we think the catalyst, frankly, is job losses. I think the premier of China was on this morning, our time, basically saying that the labor situation is severe, meaning job losses are accelerating and unemployment is skyrocketing. And that's causing a lot of angst, and it's causing the consumer in China, who naturally saves more than we do, to save even more.
So China's obviously a huge market for Apple. How big a hit is Apple going to take because of this?
We think it's going to take a hit. We thought that with the addition of China Mobile in early next year, you know, we thought our earnings numbers could be anywhere from 25 to 40% conservative. We now take that 40% number off the table. So we still think Apple's going to grow remarkably, and that's a great comparison to the rest of the tech universe. But we think China is a big deal, and the slowdown is going to have an impact on Apple around the edges.
Okay, and you also have some new information about the upcoming, potentially, mini iPad and what everyone seems to be calling iTV. What can you tell us?
Well, we think that the Galaxy 7, the Nexus Galaxy 7 from Google is doing really well. In fact, it's blowing through all their expectations. And we think Apple's taken notice. It's started to impact iPad sales also around the edges. And frankly, in Asia, the 7 to 8-inch form factor is the form factor of choice. So, you know, we think Apple's listening to their customers in Asia, and Apple is feeling the competitive pressures, and it may take that 7.85-inch iPad mini off the prototype shelf and go into production. They certainly seem to have prepped the parts manufacturers and suppliers.